let's crunch some numbers and see if the evolutionary model is substantiated.
Well, I actually did crunch the numbers. I used the human population growth formula obtained from a pre-calculus math book at Kilgore College, 4th edition by Carl J. Smith, page 200. Anyone could look it up. But here's several evolution scenarios. I took them at their own word, that Homo sapiens been around 500,000 years. And I started with one man and one woman. Now, we could have, and probably they think humans evolved simultaneously pretty much everywhere, but as you're going to see, they have
Let's be kind to them.
Yes, they have a numbers problem, so I'm cutting this as much as I can.
Yes.
I'm taking their numbers from their publications here, and the growth rate is under 0.5%. Now, we know that to be verifiable through the data that we do have through the centuries. We can't go back very far, admittedly, but it does appear to be under 0.5% average annual growth rate.
Yes.
Worldwide, it's about 1.7, so this is certainly conservative. Even at that conservative rate, you would get that figure that we demonstrated earlier in the program, 2.45 times 10 to the 990th power. Clearly wrong.
I hope this audience understands that is light years beyond the number of electrons in the universe, beyond the amount of space available for human bodies in the entire universe, light years beyond that possibility. So that's absolutely ridiculous, yet the evolutionary community holds on to that concept of deep roots.
Well, their editors need to crunch those numbers. If they're going to publish those dates, then they need to publish numbers that work.
Yes.
And we know the answer. That scenario is obviously not giving the answer. The answer is 6.5 billion.
So
now,
let's be a little kinder and
well, so I
give them more
maybe
room.
Let me tweak their data a little bit for them, see if we can get it to work. So I said, well, what about 100,000 years? One man, one woman. I can't cut that figure any.
Right.
And I went 1/10 of 1%.
Oh, that's giving them a lot of slack.
Less than we have ever seen any century for which there's recorded data. Still, you get a number where you're going to have to move the decimal 43 places to the right. And that is obviously wrong. We're looking for 10 to the 9th power right there.
And you have 10 to the 43rd power.
10 to the 43rd power
Not enough
of people.
space on planet Earth.
Not enough space, and certainly not what we know to be true through census.
Right.
And incidentally, if that were true, then where's all the bodies?
Oh, yes.
You couldn't till your garden without hitting skeletons. And so finally, evolution scenario 3, what if we just go 25,000 years ago?
I mean, be incredibly kind.
I don't think any of them would truly accept that. They'd push it back at least a little bit. But I said, well, let's just see what the independent computer calculator is going to give us, because we're just crunching numbers. There's no bias in a calculator of any kind. 2 plus 2 is 4 for anyone.
Yes.
So starting with that, one man, one woman, and an annual growth rate less than we've ever seen recorded, still gives 1.44 times 10 to the 11th power for the population. Now, some may be tempted to say, well, you got an 11, that's close to a 9. Must be getting close. No, that's actually 144 billion. We've got 6.5 billion. That's 22 times our present population. That's 22 Earths worth of people.
Yes.
So the only conclusion I think you can academically say is, well, none of those scenarios worked.
The evolution of humans did not occur.
Exactly. So now, to be fair, let's test the biblical scenario.
Yes.
Starting about 4,500 years ago, after this big death event, which we know historically, if the Bible is to be believed, it was true, it did happen. And with the 4 husband and wife units on the ark, that's 8 human beings, and an annual growth rate of under 1/2%.
Yes.
We know, tracing the
very realistic.
The Jewish line, they've averaged about 0.44% throughout recorded history. And the whole world has been about that same rate, under 0.5% average. That would give a world population of 6.5 billion. Well, that's what I call a bullseye.
That's right. That's precisely what we find.
And it doesn't require a lot of mental gymnastics, a lot of, well, get your eraser out, and we're going to have to tweak this or tweak that to try to make it work.
Just straightforward data.
Exactly. And I had one challenging professor write to me, and he said, well, I can arrive at this if I just take the growth rate down low enough. I said, well, we're already lower than any in recorded history, and which one would you suggest? And he gave a really low growth rate to accommodate 500,000 years, but that meant that the first couple would have had to have over 10,000 anniversaries before the first child would be born, so you get into some really unrealistic affairs.